go to your comfort zone and just that edge. Just tickle the amygdala slightly. Just talk to that limbic system just a little. Comfort zone +1, maybe. Not +10. Because by the time you're +10, we're back to the crazy thing. We're back to the fear thing. And speed's part of that. Intensity's part of that. Level of difficulty in the problems you're being asked to solve is part of that. And so when we get with somebody who we can't mediate that with very well, you take two people who are both beginners, they have no way to mediate all that. You take two people that are very high ranking, very close in skill sets, again, their ability to mediate to each other starts going out the window. They start having to create a sort of an artificial way to do randori together. Otherwise, they keep bumping into each other's blind spots. Yeah, does that make sense? I don't know. When you have a disparity in skill sets, then you have an accommodation and a teaching condition can occur that's pretty juicy and useful. But it's really common. You say, okay, I get two people, they've both been around for about 10 years, you put them together, and sometimes they can turn that into a beautiful thing, and sometimes it goes right out the window. And you say, man, they're both skillful people. Why is that happening? Lots of reasons. Some of it goes back to what do they do in their practice. Some of it goes back to how we sometimes slide into using it as an escape or as a means to build ourselves up in the face of fear instead of facing stuff. So that all gets in there. That's what I said. It comes back to who's kicking our ass. Ain't the guy in the bar. Always. Can be, but not always. So, with all that in mind, let's do some randori. And let's try to keep higher ranks and lower ranks. And let's try to go slow, and whatever that means to you. It might mean moving this fast. That might be what slow is in your mind. That's true. I can tell you what slow is in my mind. Let's see. Go on, Brian. This is what I kind of think of as slow these days. I suspect that Kitty would say, no, that's still kind of fast. But yeah, right. That's how I think of it. You're looking at Tai Chi stuff going on. You know, like those guys in the park. Very much like that. And there's a reason that you do sensitivity-oriented arts slow. Because your mental nervous system processing will have a lot more input that way, and you'll have a lot more interaction with what your reactivity can be like and what your sensitivity is. So it might not be that slow for you, or it might be slower. But you want to go slow, and you want to have pressure gradients that have to do with, kind of like, how to describe, like holding a baby, or petting a cat, or very, very light touch, whatever that is for you. You've got to feel that in your own hands, make that decision yourself, and notice when you're going into something and you notice that the pressure gradient got high, like right now, he's going, man, Nick's turning on me, and we got this pressure gradient difference, and there's an automatic disconnect in me when that happens, and Brian just heals it off. He gets to give me some feedback about failure because I broke my own pressure rule. He didn't do it to me, I did it to myself at the point that I decided to grip like I'm going to get to Goody. I'm going to be fixated on my goal and just get his wrist. Well, there's a cost to that. And if he's helping me out a lot, he'll let me know the cost. You know, he'll let me know that if I choose to continue to exhibit this behavior, I'll continue to fall down. Or be distorted posture, or can't take the step I need to take. Or there's a lot of ways to get the effect. So light as you can make it in your hands. There is stuff that comes up with pressure that goes around that rule that's sneakier than that. And we talked about some of it earlier in the week. We talked about how you can have a certain pressure gradient. Take your finger on your forearm and see how your skin wiggles? It just has a little looseness there to it. If you put the pressure down and then take all the slack out, and you feel that pressure on your fingertip, that's about your top end. If you start going more pressure than that, your finger starts to slide. Too much. Shouldn't slide. Shouldn't slide. So you have an actual gradient of pressure. If I press in and take the slack out and I keep pushing against it, and your fingers actually start sliding against the arm, too much. Just enough to take the slack out of the skin. It's a gradient that you probably want to work with. That one actually has some neat side benefits as you top end. Now you can be lighter than that and still have greatness. If you get completely lost in lightness, eventually we'll come around and say, okay, now you can have some power back in these circumstances. But there's a long period of time most people have to go through where they are dedicated to nothing, dedicated to almost zero sensation in the hands. That's been my experience. I know it's been your experience. I know it's been your experience. Greg's tuning into it. I know it's been your experience. And you do have to sort of go through it for a while. Sometimes it takes a year or two. Sometimes it's shorter. Sometimes it's longer. But you have to sort of invest in that for a while to really get the benefit out of it. And that's a different kind of rondori that develops after that. I don't know quite how to describe it so well. But you've crossed that threshold and you're working in a different world. That's all there is I can say about it.